Everybody pumped up today? Yes, everybody ready for the first National Action Network Boys to Man Forum? Yes. All the little ones, let's say 10 and under. Stand for me real quick. Very good. Very good. Have a seat for me, fellas. 11 to 20. Stand for me, please. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Stand for me, please. Excellent. Listen, this forum is for you. It is about you. Young brother Jabir Donaldson, who I'll go ahead and introduce at this point in time. If he takes his hands out of his pockets, he'll be ready to roll. He is the National Action Network Youth Move Atlanta President, which is the youth division of our adult chapter. Everybody give him a hand.
Like Mr. Coleman said, my name is Jabir Donaldson. I'm an 11th grade student. I attend Best Academy High School. The purpose of this event is to find out why my peers, some of my peers, are acting crazy. Is it because of the single gender parenting? Or is it something in the streets? Is it gang-related activity? What is it?
B.B.D. Williams popped that Colt 45 can. Women just appeared out to smoke. It's the truth. People who my age, I'm 44 or older, know that. This is what, and those TV commercials and those shows led a lot of people down the wrong path, trying to do what they saw on TV. You know, and I was one of those people. And I had to find out the hard way that one conversation, young men, one conversation at my high school locker changed my life. And it went something like this. My buddy ran up, we standing at our locker. He run up, he said, "Hey, Reg, you know we gotta make it to 6 p.m. Miss Jackson be tripping when you miss 6 p.m. Then your other buddy run up from the other side and say, "Hey, man, forget Miss Jackson. We gonna skip 6 p.m., we gonna make it back for 8 p.m. They over Bobby and them crib with a 6-pack of beer and a few girls. Which way you gonna go?" That one small little choices, decisions, and consequences took me 25 years to make it back. 13 years in prison, 7 years strung out on all type of narcotics. Watched my mama die while I was in prison, and it took that for me to understand what they was telling me 20 years ago. So what you're about to hear from me is what I learned how to do in a jail cell. I learned how to put my pain on a piece of paper. Because now you're in this prison system and you're looking at all these people that look just like me, and you notice that half the prison system don't even supposed to be in there. You got 2,000 inmates, but you only got 6 Jeffrey Dahmers. The rest of them dope fiends. Rest of them alcoholics. People that could have had little problems when they was younger that could have been taken care of. But it wasn't like that. So I learned how, through that I came up. And through the end I came out, and I kept my eyes focused after my mama died, because it was sink or swim. Your crutch gone. What you gonna do now? And poetry became, and Russell Simmons and Mike Epps and Broadway and all these people just started dropping out the clouds because God saw my heart. He saw that I was ready. So I had to give you who I am before, you know, all this, so you will know that I'm qualified to be standing here. I'm qualified to be standing here, all right? I wish that I could turn back the hands of time to where the playful days of a youth could again be mine. Would I even be what I'm considered today? A menace to society, not realizing the streets lied to me. See, they tricked me down a path full of hard knocks and roadblocks, following the crowd, trying to be somebody I'm not. I must have forgot what my mama taught me. Now them same words she spoke constantly haunt me. My eyes stuck on the ceiling. I'm praying, hoping I'm forgiven of all the mistakes I made from that dangerous living. See, gangsters die fast and squares live long. Hustlers might last a while, but eventually go wrong. Whatever you choose, wrong or right, if God ain't in it, it's a dead end life, believe me. What I spit is the truth. See, it starts way back when you were youths, coming up watching people drive fancy cars, wondering when that chance gonna finally be ours. Not ready for that long road, so you get tricked down that heavy road and down the wrong route. Living life lost and turned out, cause the last 3 months for me was like 40 years. God took me on a trip through my hurts, hang-ups, and fears. See, it's no more tears about where my mama went. I know she in a heavenly place, right? Covered by holy promises, and I see now that death do come in threes now. God got me empty like a tree with no leaves. Shouted, wow, he stripped me back down. No more stages to amaze. He said, sit back down and look clearer into the mirror. That is you. Don't you see the great things I created you to do? Instead, you waste time in your past, replaying it through shattered glass with your beer and your bag like I don't see you. I created you to be you, like David and Goliath. I gave you the power to conquer any giant, wherever you want to go, shorty. You're the pilot. Ain't you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Fly off before your wings expire, or God snatch them back. The world is more addictive than crack.
Yes, it is.
He gave me the gift to take off, but sometimes I like to take my cape off, get on a roller coaster ride with no way off. But after every problem, there's a payoff. Just be thankful God don't take a day off, because he changed a leopard to a shepherd. He took an addict like me and molded me into a blessing. After all the checking from God, I didn't ask not one question, but it was hard though when the clouds swallowed my mom's show. See, y'all really just don't know. Back in that jail cell, I grabbed that towel when I was ready to throw, but no, without my mama, God knew I had nowhere else to go but to him. No one comes before him. No mother, no idol, no woman, no title. I'm still a disciple, but I got a new chief. I got my Bible now, and I'm turning a new leaf. The devil keep knocking at my door, because I'm writing this new speech. I'm just trying to do me. From books to CDs, what the truth is, you see me, because we went on vacation. He sat me down to get a little more medication. I forgot how to give instead of taking. I had to learn just a little more patience. I had to step back from all this limelight. God put me on pause to keep my mind right, shawty. I started to lose focus. I told you, too much drinking out there, too much smoking. Out in the streets with the wrong people, knowing it was hopeless. I forgot I was chosen. I'm not sin less, but I do sin less. And if I don't deal with my stress, drama is just another yet. And although my life remains a little the same, my good days outweigh my bad days, so I won't complain. Thank you.
And tells his story on where he's been, because some of y'all in the audience look like, wait a minute, what's this brother really getting ready to do? And then he blows your mind back. Awesome. Don't judge a book by its cover. Awesome.
Why is it that some black males are more prone to join gangs and become violent than others?
Well, I don't think it's a question of one kid or the other kid. You know, I think it's an environment and the peer pressure that's involved with that. You know, it's peer pressure even at 44. Tonight, it's some peer pressure. Last night, it was peer pressure for me. I'm doing this show, and I know I got to get up this morning and do this. My buddy's saying, come on, man, let's go to the other spot. Let's go see, pass out some flyers over here. That's peer pressure. Same thing go on with the kids. And I know that choices and decisions and consequences gonna happen with or without a great family. You can have two parents there, the greatest thing in the world, paying for the tuition and the whole nine. Or you can have a family that just one single parent, you know, parents might be having problems, this here and that. But that kid turned out to be the one to go to college. I've seen it happen. You know, I go over your high school days. You see the winners and the losers. But who determines that? It's have respect for your neighbors. You know, no matter if they was drinking on the side of your house. If you came out and say, hey, move on. You say, all right, Miss Johnson, sorry. And move on. So it's a difference in the way that we left our generation. See, y'all grew up BC, before crack.
Yeah.
That's real.
That's real. That's very real.
I grew up before crack. With manners and you know, households that taught you what was right and wrong. And when you went out in the streets, you had to make your own decisions and consequences to follow what your mama say, or you want to follow what Larry Hoover said. You know, so it's more choices, decisions, consequences, it's more peer pressure. You gotta be able to look and say, no, there's trouble around that corner. So that's what I believe.
I'm going to add a totally different paradigm to mostly the problems and the questions that we pose and that we attack are largely based on the fact that the whole foundation is wrong.
That's right.
The entire foundation, most of the questions that are going to be asked today are being asked because we all have to take a deeper look at how our children are being raised, period. Now let me give you an example. Who's heard this before? Babies having babies, kids raising kids, right? Let me give you an example of how that semantically sounds good, but it's much deeper than that. I was 28 years old when I had my son. My son is Mark's godson, right here with glasses on the second row. I was 28 years old. I'm 37 now. I look back at 28, I was a kid then. See, we think babies having babies mean teenagers having teenagers. I was a baby at 28 years old, but we use age sometimes to represent some level of maturity, right? Here's how it's supposed to work, which is why a child has a great relationship with his grandparents. You're supposed to be young enough to have the child. The mother can be young enough to have the child, but just because you're 28, 29, 30, 32, 35 don't mean you know how to raise a child. The grandparents who live much longer, 55, 56, 65, 68, got a little gray hair. The young generation gives birth, the grandparents raise. Now, in today's society, that sounds like backwards, doesn't it? But that's really how it's supposed to go. Why do you think the relationship between the grandmother and grandfather and the grandchild is a lot more oftentimes special than the relationship that the child has with his own what? Own parents. I want you to think about this for a second. I'm not saying young generation, you have kids and you give them up. I'm simply saying, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying that the root of the gangs, the root of the problem, the root of the crack, the root of everything else is that we tend to think that just because you're not a teenager and you're in your 20s and 30s and you have a child, that you were ready to have a child. These grandparents are really the ones that set the foundation for how the youth should be raised because they've been through enough struggle and have had enough time. At 37, I still haven't experienced everything I should have experienced by now to help raise that little boy. That's why it's important that my parents still stick what? Around.
Right.
So get back to the grandchild scenario a little bit. All the gang violence, all the dropping out of school, all of the miseducation, all of the lack of reading. You know, if Kevin Durant was here this morning, the church would be packed out. If all of us will put more responsibility in family and respect for our elders, like he said, and respect for our grandparents, then the foundation starts to change, because parenting itself is difficult. So you still finding yourself in your 20s and 30s, let somebody a lot older take care of these babies and help you raise them.
I want to say one more thing to that, to kind of piggyback off that. You know, it's really not about you taking care of your kids, it's you taking care of these kids. All up and down the block. Whichever kids you can come in, because that's the way it was, and that's the way we was taught. That's the way we learned things. You know what I mean? From being told the generations just done switch. It's not the same anymore. When you have TV shows coming on, the little cartoons dudes cussing like a sailor, man. My grandma used to say, "Hey, boy, cut that off." Immediately. You were not allowed to listen to that. Now it's all over America, and that's the same way your kids talk. Because it's right there. Whether you at work, that TV's still there. When you at work and he old enough to get his keys, you put the little keys around his neck, and he got permission to come in by himself. What he doing? They got to know inside of them. Because the world is way far gone now. It's way beyond control. So it's about not only taking care of your kids, it's taking care of these kids. Because they running wild, ain't no sports, ain't no nothing but video games. So it's a lot of kids don't have an attention span at 8 years old to sit on Google all day and the computer all day to get the knowledge they need. So where they run to the streets, or, you know what I'm saying? Or other places to get what they think they need from the television. It's just way far gone. And so I believe in that fully.
Real quickly, I think the brothers.
Hold on, let me read this. 30 seconds.
Real quick, I think the brother said earlier, the foundation.
Yeah.
And I'm always seen as the bad guy in my institutional church. And I say that because the foundation is this double consciousness that some of our historical figures have talked about, that we live in a constant tension of a European and trying to live in an Afrocentric world. And it kind of makes us schizophrenic. And so the reality is that our kids are growing up in a culture that the double consciousness of trying to figure out who they are and their identity, not having God, not having the village or the family, and education, not having education. And now we see the results when we don't have those foundational forces well rooted. And I say, as the pastor here said, in the sense of reading those great books, they speak profoundly to this reality of who we are and our identity in terms of who God made us to be. And to have moments like this where we can gather, close the doors, and have a come to Jesus moment. Instead of having outside forces telling us who we ought to be, instead of us defining for ourselves who we are. Because I can't be German American or Irish American, Polish American. I can only be African American. And when I truly speak out in that authentic form, I'm attacked. Because I'm misunderstood, or somebody saying I'm not being who they want me to be. So there's constant battle that we, and you can imagine what our kids are going through. They may not be able to articulate it, but they're going through that struggle in who they are. So we have to have a platform in schools and environments to help us come to that reality.
Question from the audience.
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to say something about the foundation. Two things. The young man here said, where can we go to get guidance if we don't have a father figure? And you mentioned technology, and I'm saying that things like what Mr. Bozeman does, I listen to his radio show, things of this nature. I think there should be more of this, because every young man in here needs to, after this is over, come up and connect with a man to see if maybe they can do some mentoring. The other thing I'd like to say about the foundation is that I've taught in Atlanta public schools, Archer High for one, and a lot of the grandparents are on crack. So you can't say that you gotta help your grandparents to raise, because in this generation, a lot of the grandparents are on crack, sitting at the table, the children are eating bologna sandwiches for dinner. So, it's not the grandparents anymore, because the grandparents are 37 years old.
Right.
So, I just had to say that.
For the sake of time, because again, I told you I want this brother to come up and drop some more knowledge on us with his poetry. The children who have questions, panelists, just remember them, okay? I want a rapid fire. If you are a child in here, you will get the mic. Understand that. I'm going around the room. Question, statement, and then remember, panelists, just remember them and we'll address it. I'm getting back there. Tell us your name first and how old you are.
My name is Marquise and I'm 20 years old. Why are people in gangs?
Okay, Marquez, why are people in gangs? I'm coming to you. Because remember, it's about the youth. We tired of hearing from these old heads and dads. We want to hear from some young folk. Okay, I had this one right here. I'll come get him.
My name is Amir Joseph. I am 8 years old. Why do we need to be in America?
Why do we need to be in America? Some of that Marcus Sargent. How old are you, brother?
5.
5. What's your name?
Science.
Got anything you want to say? Why did Dad bring you out today?
Because so we can know stuff.
So you can learn stuff. I'm going to take that. 5 years old. You got the mic and stand up, sir.
My name is Rise Blackman and I'm 8.
Tell us a little something, brother.
How can we stop some teenagers running away to gangs?
Okay, runaways. Anything you want to say?
He gonna eat that.
Any other youth that I did not talk? Right in front of him. I'm sorry, brother. Stand up, give us your name and age, sir.
My name is Hunter, and I am 10 years old. If people sag, why wear pants anyways?
Say just walk around in your drawers or something. Well, I tell you what, panelists, anybody want to tackle those and we'll hear from Storm?
Young people gravitate to gangs because gangs have all the things that you should be looking for. Gangs have order, and all the times you don't have order at home. Gangs have love. They love you. They'll ride or die for you. At least that's what they tell you. They impose a discipline. You don't just get out of one. It's not for everybody. There's methods that you get into them. And if you're a girl, you can get one or two ways. You get sexed in or jumped in. And so they have order, they have structure, they have love, they reward, and they punish, which are basic elements of discipline. And so young people oftentimes run to them because it's a discipline. You can't go and tell everybody what the gang is doing. If you do, you get disciplined. Now, if I didn't clean my room up when Jesse Bozeman said it, my dad was 5'5", about 140 pounds, and I've always been rated 6'3" after I turned about 15. That young black man, when he said what he said, it was non-negotiable. It was the Bible. Be at home at 9.
Oh, yeah.
9 or 1 was good enough. You better be on military time 30 minutes early. Or, that was what? Discipline. And the discipline was rough. And so, a lot of times we see young people because they They are the ones who have the watches and rings and girls and cars and all the trappings that we think are important. And so that's why we see young people gravitate. But what they don't tell you is that, as one gangster once told me, as his boy was being locked up right in front of us, as we sat in the barber shop, they ran in to tell him, your boy, your number one man is getting popped out there on the street and locked up. They thought that was going to create a panic for him. He said, let me just tell you, everybody in this game get got. That's the cost of doing business. So everybody gets got. So you will have your time to go to jail. I've been to jail about 12 times for protesting. Let me make sure we clean. I've never been to jail for striking a woman. I've never been to jail for robbing, for cripping, or none of that. But I'm out on bond right now, as a matter of fact. I'm out on bond as we speak for protesting with Occupy Atlanta. But I'll never go to jail for sticking a gun to some old lady's head and telling her to give it up. Won't do it. Just won't do it. They go to gangs for order and find out that it's nothing but chaos once they get in it.
I'm going to go right here for B. Brother Brian B, and then we're going to open the floor up again for Red Storm.
I'm going to do the best I can real quick to tackle probably the most difficult question I've heard so far is why are we in America? If you understand that unfortunately, but fortunately, some of the tactics that historians or Americans have used over the years have put America in a position of great abundance. Now, I don't agree with the robbing and pillaging and 400 years of free labor, none of that stuff. So we're in America now because it's time for us to use those resources to start. It's a global world now. It's a global economy now. It's a global everything now. So if America has the resources and the technology and all the things that we did rob to get, then you need to start using some of those same technologies and things to give back to the people that you put us from. So regardless of what your stance is, in America, this is a capitalist society. There are certain things that we can do here that can't be done in any other form of government. There are certain countries where you can't say what you want to say, you can't do what you want to do, you can't make what you want to make, you can't buy what you want to buy, and you start appreciating the institution that we do have here when you start going overseas and seeing some of the privileges that are taken away from others. But we need to take the privileges that we do have and do the best we can to empower others, because we're definitely guilty of sin is how we got here in the first place.
We're going to open the floor up now for Red Storm, and then when we come back, Jameer, when we come back, the brothers had a couple more questions, and then I'll go around the audience if you got questions for the panelists, and then we'll adjourn. We know we said 12. The brother pointed out so eloquently he was here at 9:30, and obviously we wasn't, so we didn't start on time, and we ain't going to finish on time. But the pastor's giving us just a little more leeway for us to extend it a little bit. So we're not going to keep you too long, but I definitely want to make sure that I get you guys in your questions.
Okay. I always try and find a segue to whatever I might be going to do. I never know what poem or what I'm going to do when I'm on stage. I look at the crowd and I figure it out. But it was something that was said, man, that made me think about this. When I was in prison for the third time, they gave me 10 years the first time I went. They gave me 8 the second time. And they gave me 7 the next time. And during all this period of time, I'm trying to figure out how I ended up in here, man. How did I end up in here with these dudes? You know? And I used to get mad at the officers, the little white officers. I used to think I was real political. I knew I'm run my mouth. You know what I mean? And the officer told me, he said, young man, if you don't like it in here, stay out of here. But I finally got it. I said, you sure right. But I was 32 years old then, man. All of my 20s was gone. Through that prison, you want to know about the gangs? This is what I understood. Where he gonna lead me? But you would sit right next to him. That's what I thought I had to understand. See, curiosity does heal the cat. Curiosity gets you in gangs because you're trying to figure out what they got going on. You know? You're sitting on your porch, you see the guy coming home with his books and coming from the library, and then you see this dude pull up with the girl in the Seville, and now you're trying to figure out which way do you go. But I can tell you one thing, messing with the gangs, you're going straight to jail. Straight to jail. And they got it set up for you. It's called the 13th Amendment of the Constitution. And it says in there clearly, slavery was abolished. Next word, except. Want to amend some laws, want to fix something, fix that. Fix that. Just the way it's worded. Fix that. If Obama tried to amend that, they'll chop his arm off. Because that's your money. So you as kids have to understand, if you want to play in that game, you making yourself a product for them people. When New Orleans went on, and the floods came through, you was just speaking on it. Who you think they went and got to clean that stuff up? And go to prisoners. Oh, yes, sir. They go give you a shovel, and they gonna tell you, get on out there and clean that up. Or we gonna put you in this box in your drawers as you beg to come out and clean something up. That's how that works. So, if nothing else keep you from doing a crime, did you hear what I just said, what they gonna do to you? Them real live lashes. I got some of them. Y'all wanna see them? But it took that for me to learn. And then you have all these brothers that still there. They still in the hole. They still in the hole. You said, Miss, you said, we did these meetings 3-4 times already or whatever. Every time this brother's in that hole. And every time we finish these nice little meetings, we're going to walk right out there. They're going to be right there. They standing on corners like gargoyles, man. They stuck. And we jumping out nice little cars, right back to our nice little lives. Not everybody. But we don't see them people. All y'all have them in y'all families. You got the dope thing, the can't get rights, the don't go to school, the this, they right there. But how do you interact with those people every day? Do you look over their heads and allow them to continue to do what they're doing? Do you enable them by giving them more money to smoke more coke? Or do you give them something that's going to help them? They told me 2 million times, boy, stop doing that. You're gonna stop. Your mama gonna die before you better stop. You better stop. The 2 million one time I heard. But they gave up. See, this is Mecca. This is black family. But when we leave, so does Mecca. So does Mecca. Because you go back and you forget all what we just talked about right here. I watch it every day. I watch it. I do these times all the time. I'm called by all types of different action networks, push, all them people. And as soon as the meeting over, the meeting is over and everybody's scattered. So I'm just a dude out of prison. I ain't no theologist. I'm just a dude that learned from lashes and hard knocks. And one thing that I took from all of this is that we just talking about the news and stuff that's coming over the TV. Well, I can guarantee you this. If you live on a nice block, ain't nothing ever happened on your block. And they come on the news every night. They robbing people on their corner. They robbing people on your corner. They robbing people on your corner. They robbing people on your corner. When you step out the door, you're going to peep this time. You're going to peek down there. Because they done tricked you. They done put something subconsciously in your head which becomes conscious. That's the biggest problem for our kids. To me, I don't have no, I'm a father of New Beginnings Church in Chicago, Illinois, Pastor Corey Brooks, but we march all day long. March and talk. And the same shorties that was in the meeting with us, got locked up for the murder. He left a church meeting, went right outside and murdered somebody. Then called on the same pastor, please help me. That's a problem.
Yes, sir.
So, I ain't, like I say, I'm just doing this because I owe people. I feel that if I don't do it, God will strike me down. Because of the people that I led the wrong way when I was trying to be Superfly. There's people out there still strung out right now today. Because I gave them that stuff. So I owe them people. And until I feel that it's paid off, God will let me know that. But there was another thing, how you make it to 20? By grace.
That's it.
By grace.
Grace.
And hopefully you make it 40 by grace. But there's some stuff in there you got to learn. It's, you know, it's a yin and a yang. Well, there's some good, there's some bad somewhere. And you got to be able to recognize them and walk around the corner. You know what I mean? From Maya Angelou to Oprah Winfrey. Cicely Tyson helped duplicate black history. Back down memory lane, Minnie Ripples and Shirley Murdoch singing as we lay. Pam Grier looking foxy in here. Gladys Knight with her pips on that midnight train to Georgia. Always a good time with Florida Evans. She taught values and she leaned towards heaven. Aretha Franklin, Tina Turner, Whitney Houston. They all deserve awards. They always producing. Jada Pinkett Smith and Gabrielle Union, Nia Long, Vivica Fox. They stay beautiful. Like Sojourner, bring the truth to the room and par like Rosa and learn what to do. When Debbie Allen dance, your dreams come true. Just make way when these ladies come through. What if King didn't get shot? Would he have been the first black president before the Lord bless us with Barack? And what if Malcolm would have stayed dirty red? Would his speeches have meaning or just some hot air? And what if Harold Washington didn't drink that coffee? Would he still be here? Or would they still try to off him? And what if Tupac ain't take Suge Knight's offer? Would he be in Rikers Island? Writing about his charges? Would Biggie be notorious without Puff Daddy? Would a pimp be a pimp without the women in the caddy? Would Beyonce be on top if Aaliyah didn't fly? Would TLC be out if we didn't lose Left Eye? What if Arthur Ashe had an earlier chance to catch it? Would he been in seminars standing next to Magic? And what if Liam Byers didn't die from that habit? Would he been in practice dunking on Robert Parrish? What if hard problems never happened? Will we see Reggie Lewis or that boy Hank Gallis? What if you thought it didn't matter? And what if Jam Master Jay was still scratching? What if 50 Cent didn't happen? Would Ja Rule and Ashanti still be platinum? What if it wasn't no rapping? And what if Denzel and Samuel wasn't acting? What if the main 21 was still a baseball team? Will we have gangbangers, killers, and dope fiends? What if it wasn't no Ebony Jet magazine, no Johnson & Johnson lady, no soft shit? What if Barry Gordy ain't have music in his blood? Would the Temps, Smokey, Supremes be who they was? What if the Crips was Pyru and the Bloods was Cuz? Would Killer California turn back to California love? What if it wasn't no lust? Would it be more friendship and be more trust? What if we boycott that bus? Would the fares go down and would the brothers stand up? What if we had one religion? Would there still be division and global terrorism? What if it wasn't no system? Would the law even matter? Do we still need a prison? So I found it kind of shorty now. No more abortion poems and sad stories, because God finally did it for me. He gave me my little man. So now I got to do all that I can to help my son advance in this world. Be a man in this world, right? I can see it in his eyes. He's mine. So to the day I die, I got to thank the divine. 6'4", 209, sketch that day in time. 6 pounds, 13 ounces. Shorty jumped out bouncing. I thank you, Lord, for letting me see that day now. I'm so grateful, Lord. I'm blessed like Abraham, father of the faithful. You see what change do? He blessed me, man. My son is my personal testimony, so I'm going to hold him up to you, Lord, so you can shine on him like you shine on me, Lord. Like every time I hit this stage, the crowd applauds. See, poetry might not be his thing, but I'm going to be there to help him live out his dreams, teach him real things, create a real king, his destiny in his bloodstream, like Michael Jordan and Dr. King, like Barack Obama. You can be anything you put your mind to if you let God guide you. Because you got to live right and eat right and exercise. You got to stand and be a man. You got to provide. I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm a nephew, I'm a cousin, I'm a friend on the run from the devil. He got his demons working against me because I believe in Jesus. I believe he died for me, and that's why I'm breathing. That's why I'm blessed. Yes, it ain't no other reason. He show up on time, and he there in every season. I study the word, follow the 10 commandments. I try to fast and pray till I understand him. Lord, we having problems in this physical, so purge me with hyssop and turn me all spiritual. Today, work a miracle for me to show the cynical side so I can replenish and get up and rise from the dead. Take these migraines out of my head and fill them with good thoughts, Lord, like the place where you bled. That's my piece.
For the young brothers in the audience, I guess maybe if we had a track to that, you bounce your head, because lyrically it's blowing everything that come across the radio. So we're going to take this back to Jabir. We're not going to hold y'all too long. Jabir's going to ask the panelists a couple of questions. I'll take questions from the audience, then we'll let the panelists give a closing statement. But know this. I'll go back, like we're jumping on the system. We're not. I'll go back to, there's not many of us here. This is the first Boys to Men. We will do this every 4 months. And it's not just a talking session, because this is the launch. So we will come with the next one, which is already to be done at Providence Missionary Baptist Church in July. But more than just every 4 months here in Atlanta. I was able to get the good Reverend Dr. Sharpton to adopt this as a national initiative, and this will take place across the nation. So these numbers don't affect me at all. We're proud that you're here today. You are a part of something that the organization will adopt. Some might say, well, I ain't been already. I'm not concerned with that. I'm just concerned with this being the start. We'll do it 4 months at a different church. It just knows it's going across the nation. That's powerful.
Before the next question, I just want to tell the audience that it's a lot of different ways of education, and I don't know if you heard of Imhotep, Center of Education. Anybody heard of that school? Yes. Imhotep. I went there 5th grade. It's an Afrocentric school that teaches the basics, the roots of where we came from, or what we should be. I went there my 5th grade year. After that, I went to the Best Academy Middle School at the time, which is an all-boys school, and it's pretty hard to go there with no girls. That was a joke. My 9th grade year, I went to a Catholic high school in Jacksonville, Florida. I didn't like it that well, and I came back to Best Academy High School, where I am now. And that leads to my next question, which is, do you think black boys do well in individual classrooms, or do they need unique requirements or settings?
I did my dissertation on middle school African American males, goals, career aspirations, and high school retention factors. And in my research, there are a number of tiers here and levels, and it gets complicated. But I think what's important is that they have the both and. I think our young men need to have an environment where they don't have the distractions. We also need to have educators that I found out, because our learning styles, there's not just one model. Many of our teachers come out of college and they're taught one model of teaching. And we do a disservice because when they go into different environments other than what they have come out of, they have a tendency not to know our culture. And when our learning style is very different from what they've been taught at the university, they have a tendency of seeing us different and begin to put labels on us and possibly call us out in terms of not having the abilities or the skills. So we really have to be cognizant of the fact that learning styles take place in so many different levels, and many times our educators, our teachers don't know. So we got to hold them accountable. You got to be involved with your child's education, because research has already revealed when these young men are already in kindergarten or first grade, they're already getting a taste of their teacher isolating them. There's a whole sense of self-esteem that's depleted. And so when I was teaching on the university level, and I had some of my African-American students who had a sense of trust with me, they would share with me privately that some of our white professors would tell them that they were not college material. So we gotta understand, what does that do to our psyche? When we are in an education environment and a professor is already telling you, you are not college material, so it's really important that somehow that you're involved with your child's education, and that we who have the opportunity to teach, that we also get them on board. They may have to do a whole lot of work to get there, but we know how to teach our own in many ways. So I want to say to that, I think it's a both and piece, but again, it's very complicated. I can go on with this whole educational piece when it comes to our people.
All right, y'all don't forget that trapdoor button.
Anybody listen to that?
Yeah, I would like to say one of the things that I think is made the most impact on our youth today is the fact that Brother said earlier about the family. The fact that the men are not present in the household makes a hellified impact on our youth today. And not just present, but active. Because a lot of those that are present are not active in helping our youth grow, talking to them, so they won't have to go out to these gangs. They're not getting the love that they need in the household. And as me, myself, as a black woman, and the black women of the world, ask the men of the world, young and old, to be present, and help us love and raise our children. We say a lot about, you hear a lot about the village. And I raised my son. My son is 45 years old now. And I had help from the village to raise him. But one of the excuses that I used during the mistakes that I made was, there was no book. There was no book available to teach me what I need to know. But that's not the same thing today. Today we have all kind of books. We have social networks, there's internet, and all types of things. And we all understand that the village of the past is not present now. We have Willie Lynch and the prison industrial complex, all kind of things that tore that down. All these drugs and everything was poured onto the community. But now what we need to do is for our leaders and us to get together and form think tanks and leave the egos at the door, check them at the door, and find solutions for these answers. Because now we can make the village of today. And that's what we got to do. We just got to get together and recreate the village. We recreate the village. And for our youth in here today, I need you to realize this and to realize that we are so proud of you, that we love you so much and we want to see you succeed. And we are. We realize the mistakes that we have made that aren't being positively put forth, but we need you to see that you are our leaders of tomorrow.
I don't want to be the bad guy, but I know it's already 12:19. I want to make sure we get participation from everybody and respect the time of the panelists, because they, we're supposed to be out of here at noon. So when I knock, please just wrap it up, okay? hate to be the bad guy. I'm such a nice guy. I hate to be bad sometimes, but please everybody just understand for the sake of time.
Good afternoon. My name is Chuck Marlowe Jr. I'm the executive director for SASI, Saving Our Sons and Sisters International. I actually know this young man. My organization actually done some mentoring at Best Academy Middle School and High School, as well as at Washington Senior Academy, Carver School of Technology, Punch Middle School. What am I saying? I think we talked enough about the problems. We need to talk about some of the solutions. Yeah. These young people are recording what we're talking about in their little heads and in their brains. And what they are recording is what we are, they're only recording the bad things. So I think that, you know, when we have panels like this, and we have a young man who had the idea to put this together, as much as we would like to be up here doing all the talking, we need to have more young people up here doing the talking. Because I myself was in an organization at Benjamin E. Mays High School called BTA, Black Teens for Advancement. When I was amazed, you couldn't walk around with your Letterman jacket. You would get jumped in front of your mother. It didn't matter. But what we did is we realized that we needed to get with all the bad leaders at the schools to create something positive, and that's what we did. When we created SASI, young men decreased the violence in the public school system by 40%. But when the adults found out that we were doing this, they tried to take it over. So as adults, we have to be very careful to not try to take over and control things when we're trying to get young people to buy in. They only buy in when we listen to them and bring their interests to the forefront. Another thing that I wanted to mention was that gangs were not started as gangs. They considered the Black Panther gangs. But what is our real story? I think we talk a lot about history, but we really don't know our history. We know pieces and parts, but we never know the real truth. I didn't say the real, I said truth. Gangs were started after they destroyed the Black Panther organization, which did not start off as an aggressive group. It was a group that educated, fed, and gave shelter. Okay? What were gangs? The first young man who was 15 years old who started the gang, it wasn't what we know as Crips. It was known as a community organization that tried to provide some organization and discipline. So I think we need to become more knowledgeable about the things that we claim that we know, and we need to be more solution-based. Let's talk about the success stories that people are having in our communities.
What that brother said is really important. More youth do need to be involved, but you know, I'm sorry, I just hate negative spins. Each one of these people up here today are engaged daily with the youth. We need our youth to step up to the plate, but let's be real. They're our children, they're guided by us. It's not a control factor, but each one of these people can take what they've got here today, apply it to what they do on a daily basis, and share it with their congregation, which sparks more youth activity. So I don't want nothing negative spin about all the adults up here today, because these adults are engaged day by day in the youth. And I'm not, you know, being argumentative with the brother, because I totally agree with them. A lot of times there are panels where you just got older people talking at, and then they ain't going out and doing nothing. Not this panel right here.
Yeah, real quick, you talked about solution, you brought up a good point. Let's talk solution, let's put some optimism in the room. Young man, they say if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in the book. You won't pick up the book, you know. I ain't gonna lie, my son got an iPad, and if I want to hide it, and like when we get out the car, I throw a book on top of it. Ain't nobody gonna mess with it, okay? And I know that to be true because we don't read. When I got the iPad for him, I said, one thing you're gonna have on here is the Kindle app, where we're gonna do some games.
Real criminal, but I said that to say this. It's different. I come up in a gangster town. Even the mayor was a gangster. And either you roll with it or you get rolled over. And we understood immediately about Chicago what was missing. First of all, the schools. One school has different amenities than other schools. Harper High School didn't have no water in the pool for 15 years. All right? And other schools have these better amenities. So it's like, I'm almost short on time to finish my point, but school systems, they're different in every state.
And they're different because the people that was, the generation is different. The teachers ain't even the same, the principal ain't the same, the school board ain't the same, their minds is not working the same. So we have to take control of it ourselves. I appreciate y'all listening to me. If my man that do the prison industries that's in there, I always say this, put me in a room with him, I'll change it. Just let me talk to him. Track those inmates and watch recidivism change. Because they listen to people who've been there.
I'm gonna tap it 1 minute.
My bad.
No, you good, you good. Another tap, 2 minutes.
I don't think I did. Brian Bain, Mentor Millions. I think it's very, very important that we teach our kids the importance of entrepreneurship. I'm real big on that. Because a lot of times, what your child is really chasing is what he sees as the American dream, you know? So he's robbing, he's trying to take a terrible shortcut to get money. He's stealing, he's doing a terrible shortcut to get money. Joining gangs, like you said, because these days it's not about being politically correct in the community. They think it's about money. If you show your child early on that you can be a young entrepreneur and money is easy to get, it's just like printing off a printer. Once you have certain skill sets and once you understand capitalism and being a young entrepreneur, I don't care if you give your kid a bag of candy that costs you guys $2 and you show them how to sell each one for 50 cents and make $10. What you just did was you created your own money and turned 2 into 10. And to get your child at an early age to understand that you can do that on every single level and now have something to focus on and stay into sports and involvement and activity and community, but get them a business mindset and entrepreneurial spirit, and that'll keep them away from a lot of distractions where they try to get it otherwise.
Again, I'll tap it 1 minute.
Again, I want to thank everyone for coming out. I just got 2 points I want to make. First one is, I think as a community, I think we need to let go and stop getting sucked into this anything goes mentality. And I say that, you know, I voted for Barack, I went to the inaugurations and I'm there for him, but we can't just let we don't have to be part of these political parties. And if, you know, you don't have to, your racist, you can't go with this one, but you gotta have morals to say that you just can't let the one that's taking you for granted do anything. We don't have to accept this anything goes mentality. Historically speaking, we are a conservative community. We have values that we have stood by, and for some reason over the last 15, 20, 30 years, we have allowed, you know, outside forces to redefine our community. So I think we really need to go back to our conservative roots, and I don't use that word in a political framework. Secondly, and it's just kind of just listening to these guys, I really thought about a book that I read, and it's not so much that I think that adults need to read it for themselves, but it's to create a mind frame within the kids. And the book is The Outliers, and you may have heard of it, but The Outliers has a very interesting premise that if we could get our kids to understand it, maybe it would stop people wanting to join gangs and, you know, take the shortcut and everything. But the book has this 10,000 hour rule, and basically it says that if you do anything for 10,000 hours, you're gonna become world class at it. And it has wonderful examples from sports all the way to computer programming on what that means. And the reason I think that's important is because we deprogram the kids from looking for shortcuts. We need to get the kids to understand that if you want something, there is no such thing as a shortcut. Just because it comes fast doesn't mean you took a shortcut. You know, so I think we should maybe invest in learning things like that so that we can reprogram our kids. And I think we kind of need to go back to more conservative values as a community. And that gets to being responsible for one another.
Let me thank, first of all, Jabir and Marcus and Reverend Tucson Hill for opening the doors of God's house. It was very significant when Marcus asked me would I come. I actually was supposed to be in Columbus, but I remembered preparing for Let Us Make Man. One thing you need to get Let Us Make Man. It's a series of 8 seminars that we teach for the last 7 years. We moved this around Georgia. We'll be in Columbus, Georgia this year.
everything from knowing your legal rights, how to create a mentoring program, conflict resolution, which is new, exploring the genius of our children. Some very powerful work we do. I'm not just saying because I've been a part of it, but it is great work. It's free and open to the public. All you got to do is get there. If you don't have a way to get there, then call me. We'll get you there. But the reason that this is significant for me, 30 years ago, when I was 17, I sat in this very room with then the late Senator Reverend Arthur Langford and Ralph David Abernathy, Sr. And they had a program very similar to this, where teenagers, a teen leadership summit. I was 17 and a senior at North Fulton High School, and I got involved with that organization. 30 years later, I'm still involved with the United Youth Adult Conference organization that did the searches during the 80 for the missing and murdered children. The organization now that do a number of other things, but 30 years later, from 17 to 30 years later, and so I guess the message I'm leaving you with, don't not think that these kinds of meetings are important. Because back then I thought I was just going to eat the free lunch and, let the ride for me to get here. And, I think they were going to give me a little piece of change when I left, but my life was transformed. And so these can be life-altering meetings. They don't just be meetings because in Arthur Langford I had a mentor. The final point is this, to the young people and to the adults, whatever you want to be, find somebody doing it at the highest level possible, and then follow them. Arthur Langford Jr. was the youngest city councilman ever elected. I was elected to the city council when I was 29. Arthur Langford Jr. attended Morris Brown College, and guess where I went? Morris Brown College. Arthur Langford went on and became state senator. I haven't done that yet, but I worked for him as he was in the state senate and been in politics for much of my life. And so if you want to do it, then find somebody who's doing it to the level of excellence. And then ask them, can I follow you? And that answers the question you asked earlier. All we are waiting for, all these old folks up here, at 47, I feel old, arthritis and everything else, all we're waiting for is somebody to ask us to help you. And that's what young people can do, just ask. And we'll give you everything we have. But some of us have grown so selfish, we want you to come to us instead of us coming to you. So if you got it, like my nephew was bold enough to come and ask me for $120 because his car had got impounded last night because he made an illegal left turn. And I was
instead of saving money or going to our family members to get somebody out of jail, let's start saving money and send our kids to college, because we don't want to rely strictly on the Hope Scholarship, the lottery money that we keep talking about. They are basing it specifically on grades now, and I can tell you that we can start by saving for college and making sure that our child, when they come to us and ask us for $35,000 because they want to go to Morehouse for 1 year, we'll have it available as well. Thank you very much.
I'll close mine in prayer and our Father's name.
Again, thank all of you, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of this panel. What's ringing in my ears right now is agitate, agitate, agitate. And that is, we don't accept the system the way it is because we know it works differently for us. And therefore, we have to teach this culture about putting down the guns, the drugs, and know that we have to get back to where our ancestors were when they fought to make this possible and life a little bit better for us. And therefore, we have to again reteach, re-educate this whole system again about being the thorn in the side, and to know that our true character cannot flourish until we somehow sacrifice for each other. And that's part of the to agitate, and to be a troublemaker in a good sense, not in a bad sense, but in a good sense. And to know that, again, I'm repeating myself, That is, we can't do this without God, without each other, and without education. Ashe.
All right, well, we're going to let Pastor Yusuf close us in prayer. I'm going to say a couple of words, and I'm going to let Brother Jabir Donaldson close us out. Jabir's mother, can you please wave your hand and let everybody see you back there?
She's shy.
Y'all should give it up for that sister. She's raised an awesome young man. I'm going to ask you to join National Action Network. I'm going to ask you as adults to join National Action Network. I'm going to ask you as youth to join National Action Network Youth Move. You can see Ms. Cummings, Helen Cummings right there in the back. Your voting rights are under attack. Here in Georgia, you got a governor that could care 2 cents about you. You got police misconduct that runs rampant, but most importantly, we got black on black crime. Get in an organization, or those who don't like them, use the Harriet Tubman method I've been speaking about. Stop being afraid of our children. Again, National Action Network costs you $25 a year. We meet every second and fourth Saturday. I think you all have the information. I've watched in the past month Youth Move. I've watched them in their meetings where they are in control of their meetings. They come up with some of the issues. I spent President's Day watching them protest gun violence on the corner of Marietta Street and Olympic Avenue. Youth Move with the National Action Network. These young brothers and sisters are serious about their community. The office is on the corner of People Street and Ralph David Abernathy. It sits right up the street here, right across from Willie Watkins Funeral Home. Again, I need more soldiers, and you don't get more soldiers without more souls. I love what Brother Bozeman does on a daily basis. Every time I'm involved in something, I see him there. He beats me there a lot of times. Brothers are engaged. Mr. Beam engaged. Keisha engaged. Pastor Hill engaged. Father Lee, you got some literature you'd like to share with me dealing with the black family and black communities. Engaged. So please, I'm asking you to build National Action Network Atlanta. I'm asking you to build the numbers in the chapter up. So I'm going to pass the mic to this young brother. I think before I do, everybody should stand up and give him a round of applause for putting this together. This brother did exactly what you said. Again, he stepped to me and said, Mr. Coleman, I'm charged with the father and son forum, and can you please help me? Can you please help me? So we're going to hear his brother's closing statements, and then Pastor, you'll take us out. So I thank all of y'all for coming. All of you for coming. The next one will be 4 months from now. Definitely see Mr. Bozeman about legislating man. Our next one, we will have a progress report on what has been done in the past 4 months. This ain't just chit-chatting. So again, thank you guys for coming.
Again, thank you for coming. I'm extremely humbled to see all you guys here. To piggyback on what some of the panelists said, I think that it's disheartening for young people to see our elders and the people we're supposed to look up to afraid of us, you know, because the things we did, because of the media, what the media displays of us. And we're only as good as the people that, you know, teach us and lead us. We're a product of our environment, and we need a better environment. But also, join Youth Move, join Youth Move, join Youth Move. Join Youth Move, because in our minds is the devil's playground, and can't get no better Youth Move. So, that's